Last week on our blog, we discussed the story of Michael. Now, if you remember, Michael owned a house. And Michael had big dreams of selling his house and making a pretty penny. But before he could do so, at the advice of his realtor, he had the home inspected. And it was a good thing, too, because the inspector found that the septic system was seriously damaged and needed to be entirely replaced. And so, at considerable expense, Michael had the system fixed, and then he put a call into the local health department, and he asked them to come out to his house and confirm the work had been done correctly. Well, they sent out an inspector who reviewed the new septic system and confirmed that it was just fine. And so, Michael put his house on the market. Well, with only a few weeks, he began to get offers. And as a matter of fact, a serious offer came quickly, and the potential buyer was putting together contracts and paperwork when he decided to ask Michael if he could have an inspection of his own, just for his own benefit. Well, Michael was confident about the work that had just been done. After all, the health department had inspected it and said it was fine. And so he welcomed the inspection of the home. Well, the buyer's inspector went through the house, and he discovered in only a few minutes that there was a serious leak in the septic system. And he wouldn't put an offer on the house after all. Well, Michael was extremely upset. And so he placed another call to the Department of Health to ask them what had possibly could have gone wrong. They promised to look into it. Well, a week went by, and Michael got a letter in the mail. He expected a letter to explain the problem and apologize for the confusion and the mistake of the previous inspector. Instead, the letter contained a warning and told him that a $1,000 fine was coming his way unless he fixed the leaky septic system. Well, as you can imagine, Mike was pretty upset at this entire experience. Most of us would be. And it's easy to blame bureaucracy or shoddy workmanship. It's easy to come up with all kinds of reasons why this might occur. In the comments on our blog last week, many of you blamed a variety of people, whether it was the original inspector, Michael, or the health department. Now, being outside the organization, it's hard to know exactly how things work. But even from our vantage point, we can see that there's a basic process involved here. We know that the health department does a variety of things for our community, but with regard to homes, it begins the process by being notified of the interest in an inspection. This notification process may come in a variety of ways, email, a phone call, or a letter, but it kicks off a sequence of tasks inside the health department. Now, after the notification, the health department goes through their system to schedule someone to actually do the work and conduct the inspection. Now, most of the time, we'd imagine these inspections generally go pretty well. Hopefully, most septic systems are working. And the owner of the property will receive some kind of notification in the form of an approval letter, which indicates that everything is just fine and they can go on with the rest of their lives. Well, obviously, although most of the time, notification, inspection, and approval, sometimes the inspection doesn't go well. And in these cases, the health department needs to take action. They issue a warning. And the warning contains something which explains you need to correct this issue right away or suffer some kind of penalty. And obviously, most of the time, most people get the warning and they immediately act by having the problem fixed. At which point, they quickly jump right back in and tell the health department that they've addressed the issue and they should come out and do a new inspection. Well, what happened in Michael's case? The first time he notified the health department after his original installation, the inspection was done, the approval was received. Probably the inspection was faulty, but nevertheless, Michael received approval. Well, what about the time the buyer came through with the intent to purchase the home? The buyer didn't actually request the health department do an inspection. Instead, the buyer had a third party checking out all parts of the house. And it's likely that third party was one of many people in the community who do a variety of technical work. And they may even be one of the contractors who does inspections for the health department. Well, if that's the case, and it seems likely that it might well be, it wouldn't be surprising if this contractor, as part of their duty, informed the health department when they discovered this problem. Jumping right into the warning process. After all, I was already on site, the contractor thinks. Why repeat the inspection process? Why not simply inform the health department that there's a violation? Well, we see immediately the challenge of this process. The group inside the health department that issues warnings, they've never seen Michael's property before. It's a totally new address to them. They have no reason to think there might be anything suspicious. Instead, the notification department has just seen Michael's address, but they've been bypassed. Now, to address an issue like this is fairly straightforward. You just create what's called a swim lane around the entire process to protect it from being entered at places other than the official point of entry. If this had been done, the inspector would have been required to use the same notification channel as everyone else to indicate that he was on site and found a problem. And then the folks in this department at the health department could see the address had been recent and get to the bottom of the problem more appropriately. This kind of diagram, an activity diagram, allows us to understand the major steps in a process and to be able to diagnose potential problems. Even though we aren't actually inside the department, we can still see the basic structure and still have a basic understanding of what might have occurred. Imagine the power of this tool in your organization as you're trying to work through basic aspects of process and system design as you build your organization moving forward. If you'd like to learn more about activity diagrams, the Unified Modeling Language, or UML, please contact us. We'd love to speak with you. Thank you.